People do not remember keynotes because they were long or loud. They remember them because something stuck. Now, these 5 speaking tricks will make that happen for you. It's not about going out to the stages, yelling at people all day long. All right, it's a certain time that may have a place for it, but to be quite honest, most people, they don't remember things past 24 hours. Now, it's not because the content wasn't good, but it's usually because we didn't do our job as a speaker on stage to land the language properly. And it's not about just throwing a bunch of words out and whiz-bang stuff. There must be something that grabs and sticks to their ribs, right? So for us, it's all about having unforgettable moments. Unforgettable speakers, they design their delivery intentionally, not accidentally. So in this video, I'm going to break down 5 practical speaking techniques that'll turn good keynotes into incredibly memorable ones. So your name is still in their heads and in their mouths to share with other people long after your talk is done. So let's dive into it. Now, the first tip you want to call it, right, is create one repeatable line. Now, why would I do this? You want to be able to think about anchoring something language-wise, and this repeatable line can come in one of 2 places. One, it could be your message stated over and over again. For me, it's dark work. Work in the dark, win in the light. Work in the dark, win in the light. Or something separate could be what we do is called a callback, a piece of language that I use to allow the audience to respond with me verbally. For me, it's called I see it. Right? If an audience is on and the audience is watching me and I want to have a conversation, the way they can have agreement with me is to say responsive to me and my question as a yes is I see it. Because if you work in the dark, you win in the light where someone can see you. So I see it. So if I say something along the lines of, man, who's had a great time the last couple of days of the event? Let me get an I see it. I see it. So they're saying this thing over and over again, repetitively, so it sticks in their brains. And if they understand what I see it is in relation to dark work, well, now I've got them, right? So the idea is, if I want to stick on their minds much past that single moment, is have a single phrase the audience repeats after the talk, during the talk, at any given time. And it should be easy to quote and easy to remember. See, if you're stating something that's a super long statement, if I go, in order to have the most success that you want to have in your life, you have to do the work behind the scenes that nobody knows or sees. I call it dark work, so you can win when all the eyes are on you. It's to win in the light. That's too much. That is incredibly too much, right? You can't repeat that back to me now if you tried to. So the idea is it's got to be something clean, clear, concise for folks. So this comes when you have what's called a verbal brand language, and you have to design this. It can't happen by luck or by chance. So for me, I spent a lot of time going, what is dark work? What does it mean to the world when somebody hears that? What is the language I want them to share with somebody else? Because also you want to have your brand be a torch that's passed beyond you. And if that torch is only held by me because only I can recall what it is, or I can't communicate it properly because you didn't teach me to, the torch stays here and burns out. But the idea is simplicity sells. So for me, it's work in the dark, win in the light. That's dark work. Now, there are other language points that go to it, but if I can get people to remember that single piece of language, I got something. And I can have that be repeated over and over again throughout my talk. And now, guess what? When they leave and they see my name somewhere, it's a hashtag, dark work. Work in the dark, win the light. Or just purely dark work, right? Or simply could be, I see it. I've left so many events on the way after the stage, walking out, going back to my hotel room or back to the lobby, people going, I see it, right? Because they're far away, but they know that I will know what they mean when they say it, and the rest of the group will also get it. But I have to intentionally say it over and over again or get them to repeat that piece of language back to me. And if you don't do this, you'll lose. But this one little trick, man, it lands. And so what's even cooler is when you look at people that are booking you, the audience is there having a conversation with them later on. So for example, if I have someone from a bureau or a meeting planner or an organizer book me, I usually ask them, what would be a win for you? When it's all said and done, what's a win? They go, man, if they're still talking about your talk the next week, or they take it back to their people in the home offices, that's a win. So you better believe I am paying attention to that. I want to make sure that when I'm communicating my message from the stage, it's so over and over repetitively stated to them, they cannot miss that piece of language, so that a week later, a month later, they're still talking about it. That is a humongous win for both the person that brought you in and for you, for your brand long term. Big trick. Trick number 2, Hey, I hope you're enjoying this video right now. Now, I want to let you know that I developed a speaker quiz that reveals what your speaker type is, the strength of your type, and more importantly, how to capitalize on that type to build an impactful and income-producing speaking business. To get this quiz and take it and get the information you need, simply hit the link you see below in the description, or you can wait till the end of the video to head over and check it out. All right, that's it. Let's get back to it. Use contrast to create emotional movement. Now, this means essentially saying, like, here's a before state or an after state, or here's pain, here's possibility. Now, for me, I like to use in my actual brand before and afters. So I talk about it being what's called a submitter versus a dominator. I've created this, right? So I want to have that contrast. I want them to think about becoming or operating in the space of what I have said is the place you should desire to be. For example, when I talk about someone doing dark work, when you do dark work, you become a dominator, which is a person that can exert control and govern themselves in heightened situations, in moments that matter or defining moments. It's about optimizing your identity for peak performance, which is what someone who dominates does. It's also not about dominating other people all the time. It's about dominating your weaker self, the complainer, the fearful one, the lack of confidence one, the one that wants to make excuses, whatever that person is. There's a person inside of us that is that version of us. Can I dominate the weaker version of me, the submitter? They submit to difficulty. They submit to excuses. They submit to judgment. They submit to fear. Like, that's a person I do not want to be. That's the before person. The after is a dominator. And I can create this dance of who you should not want to be and who you should want to be while on stage, or the pain of what they experience, what you got going on, what you don't want to experience, the frustrations you're facing right now, the fears you have, right? Versus the possibility. Here's what could take place if only you blink, did this, or saw this, or operate like this. You could have this, be this, function like this, be able to do this. The possibility. That after is huge, because who they are now could also be the thing of who they want to be in the future. That's also the same kind of before and after. But for me, creating contrast while in your story, talking to it in that manner is huge for them going like, oh, I see myself in that. See, most speakers get up and just talk and they do the thing and they get out of there. And I go, you're leaving so much on the table. Not because you're doing a bad job or you are bad, but here's the truth of it all. Someone, while they're in the audience, they've got to be listening, but they can't just be listening to hear words. They got to feel it. And the best way to make somebody feel it is to place them literally in that story with you. How do I get someone to be placed there if they've never been there? Emotion, connection to conversational points, especially before and afters. So I'm going like this before and this after feeling. I can go, hey, here's a story of when I was a kid. I was given away into foster care at 3 years old. My own mom didn't want me and my siblings. I navigated the ups and downs and the pitfalls of life. I had to, navigate being adopted by a very poor, all-white family. Didn't know where I fit. And I entered this world not thinking there was much possible for this foster kid that's now been adopted in a very poor environment. Like, my life in my head was not headed to a great place. But I had this desire for something more. I could see things that were so close to me that I could touch them, but I couldn't touch them. So I wanted to be that. And I remember working myself through this journey of life. And now I'm on the far side of this, and I have financial freedom. I have time freedom. I get to impact. I have confidence. I have self-esteem. I played in the NFL. I've been in multiple television shows. I run 2 7-figure companies. Like, I get to do a lot of cool things. It's not an accident. I've been able to dominate the weaker version of myself that complained, that accepted excuses, that played small, that was fearful, that believed the story that my own mom didn't think I was good enough, therefore I must not be good enough, right? I didn't believe that story and I changed it. If I can position someone to have the emotional connection to each of those, they can go, yeah, I don't want to feel like that or be like that or function like this anymore. I want to be like this now. And I give a story that they can jump into emotionally with me, even though they may not have experienced that exact same experience. That's a game changer, because now someone's able to go through the story and feel right alongside. And this trick, if you want to call it that, it draws people in. They're no longer sitting there listening to your story. They're going through their own story, and not just the one they've lived, but the one they want to live after this moment in time. That juxtaposition is huge. And the contracts, man, it creates meaning. It creates momentum. It creates buy-in to the thoughts and ideas you have to place upon their heads. This is where people as speakers drop the ball, because they're only just talking about their story, not bringing the audience in to make it partially their story as well. It's critical to get them to engage long term. Now, the next one, point 3, is called strategic Silence. Now, silence is hard for a lot of people. Silence amplifies importance. When I first started speaking, I would just ramble through words, not realize that the things I was saying, they held weight. But if I didn't give them time to settle in, the weight disappeared. It was on to the next thought before the previous thought could actually land. So you have to realize that when you make a statement, and it's an important one, you need to pause and let the silence climb. Because really, it's going to be this thing where when somebody hears, they go, oh, they can nod their head and go, okay, I get it. And then they come back to attention. I'll tell you this, it is going to create tension. It's going to create discomfort, but here's what's also to create authority. Someone who's confident in themselves can be quiet. The person who's not, tetterbug all day long. Like I find myself sometimes at like my kids' games, and I find there are certain people I can't be around. Like I don't do well around people that are not settled inside. Those who have to just jabberjaw nonstop and can't just be and be quiet. Like there's the best people I have in my life are able to be with me, and we could just sit there and not have to talk. We could talk, we will. We don't have to talk every second of every moment of every day, right? And so there's this silence is actually a golden thing. But when you have yourself on a stage and have statements to give to people, you want to share it. If you're just trying to get as many words in as possible and not giving the words time to settle and breathe and just soak in, you're missing out on the ability for two things, in my opinion. One is to get the authority from the room who realizes you're comfortable enough in your content, what you're sharing, to have silence land. It feels strong. But two, giving it time to settle in so they actually understand what you're saying and they draw value from it. But if you go so fast past a specific moment in time or it land a beautiful thought and you're so quick to the next one without letting the previous one settle, you don't get the value and the credit for that value because you're off to the next thought. They've left that one there uncooked, unsettled. They listen to the next one, and it happens again and again. And now what would probably in a slow-mo or like a video clip be great as content, you miss all that because you're talking through everything. Let things sit and be quiet and pause. There's so much authority and amplification of your value when you do this. The best speakers, they're not afraid of the quiet. They embrace it. They understand the value of it. So be like those great speakers. Number 4, you want to loop the opening to the end. Now, this is one that when I first started writing keynotes, I had no clue how to close them. I don't know if it's something you've experienced or it's maybe just me in doing this, but I go, man, I got these thoughts and ideas, but I go through this whole keynote and I haven't planned the ending. So I get to the end and I'm like, all right, I'm done. And everybody's watching goes, I guess they're done. And it's a weird experience because essentially I'm saying I'm done, but they don't know if I'm done. I don't know if I'm done. And it was kind of a weird kind of conclusion. And the weight of what you could have had disappears. The power disappears. So what you want to do is be able to let the audience know before the very end that we're ending. Now, how do you do this? You make sure that when you open your keynote, that the story you start with ties into the end so you close with it. So you can call back to that story at the end and people are prepared for it to end. And it crescendos nicely. So bring the audience back to the opening of the story or a simple question you might have asked to start things out. And in this, people are prepared and knowing like, oh, this is coming to a close, right? This also creates emotional closure and narrative satisfaction, we'll call it, which is that satiation. Like, I feel like my palate is done. Like, I feel like I got the last part of that bite and it was delicious, right? So what you want to do is when you're creating your keynote, start with the close. Start with the final story. And then think about how you would open that story and cut it in half, separate it. Now, when I do this and I have the separations of different thoughts and ideas, well, now what happens is I am in a position to have a previous story and a secondary story. It's really the same one together, but the audience now knows it's a closing. So you have to end it properly. This allows you to have a keynote feel complete and intentional. When you don't do this, people will seriously watch you and go, is it done? I guess it's done, but it'll be so disjuncted and uncomfortable. And I've been there, right? Don't do that. The last step is end with identity, not information. Now, I heavily love the concepts of identity. It's where my entire work lives. But you don't just tell people what to do, tell them who they need to become. Or maybe who they are now that they've listened to you talk. See, the idea is you can do something, but if it's who you are to do it, it'll happen. That's kind of the dance. And most people, they can do a thing, but they don't feel like the kind of person who does that thing, it doesn't happen consistently, they don't get the outcome of what that thing could be. So who must they become? And then what does that kind of person do? That's the destination. To have that discussion. Identity-based endings, they trigger standing ovations, post-event conversations. Even more so, people remember how you made them see themselves. And they may not like it right now. They may not like how you put that light on them for who they are, but they may step back and go, oh, I get what that person's talking to and talking about. There's something's got to change, and I got to be somebody better. I got to do things like this person. I got to shoot for a dominator's identity, right? But the idea is when you land there, they should now know what characteristics comprise that identity. And are they being more like that, or how do they become more like that through the steps you've taught them? When this becomes your language to the end, now you have something special. If not, you're another person. Tell them things they should do. They probably may think about doing or not think about doing. But if you give them an aspirational identity, well, now they can become something. And that becoming creates something and brings more things to them. So just to recap, we call it that. Unforgettable keynotes, they are engineered. They are not improvised. If you want help building talks that stick like this, that are super grabby, that spread and that sell, visit speaktofreedom.com and I'll unpack exactly how we teach people hand in hand how to do this. Outside of that, I'll see you in the next video.